So, in this session, we will solve the worksheet for Chapter 12. In this worksheet, we have in problem 1, the given as following. We have a company need to start a new project for the 3 years. So the life of the project is 3 years, and it need a new equipment that costs $40,000. So the cost of the equipment is $40,000. And the engineers require a cost of $4,000 to install the equipment. So we have an installation cost $4,000 and a shipping cost of $16,000. So the shipping cost is $16,000. Also, the equipment life is 4 years with a depreciation rate of 25% for each year. And the company will sell the equipment at the 3rd year, since the life of the project is for 3 years, for $20,000, which is the salvage value. And we have a net working capital of $14,000. And also we have given the units sold, which is the quantity sold. We have the price per unit, and we have also the total variable costs. In addition, also we have the fixed costs are expected to be 2,000, and the applicable tax rate is 40%. And the weighted average cost of capital that will be used in order to discount the cash flows in order to calculate the NPV is 10,000. So first of all, we have to find the initial cash outlay. In order to find the initial cash outlay or the initial investment, so we have first to calculate the initial investment. The initial investment, as we know, it's equal to the fixed capital investment plus the change in the net working capital, and the fixed capital investment is equal to the cost of equipment plus shipping plus installation. So the fixed capital investment will be equal to $40,000, which is the cost of the equipment, plus $4,000, which is equal to shipping, plus installation for $16,000. So the fixed capital investment equal to $60,000. And the initial investment thus will be equal to $60,000 plus $14,000, which is the change in the net working capital. So the initial investment will be equal to $74,000. In part B, we have to calculate the cash flows for year 1, 2, and 3. So the cash flows according to the formula, we know that the cash flow equal to the sales minus the total cost minus the depreciation cost multiplied by 1 minus tax rate plus depreciation. We know that the sale equal to the price per unit times the quantity sold, and the total cost is equal to total variable cost plus fixed cost, which is equal to the total operating costs. So if we want to apply, and the depreciation is equal to the fixed capital investment times the depreciation rate. So if we want to apply this formula according to the cash flows and according to the given that we have, so cash flow 1 will be equal to 70, first the sales, $70, which is the price, times the quantity sold, it's 500, minus the total variable cost is 12,500 minus the fixed cost, which is 2,000, minus the depreciation. So the depreciation, in order to calculate the depreciation, we know it's equal to the fixed capital investment times the depreciation rate. So it's equal to 60,000 times 25%, which is equal to $15,000. And since the depreciation rate is constant for each year, so the depreciation will be constant for all years, for 4 years. So in cash flow 1, so we have sale minus total variable cost minus the fixed cost minus the depreciation, all multiplied by 1 minus tax percent, and then we re-add the depreciation, $15,000. So cash flow 1 will be equal to $18,300. We apply the same for cash flow 2 and cash flow 3 before the termination. value. So cash flow 2 will be equal $31,800 and cash flow 3 before termination will be equal $23,700. Okay, using the same formula for the cash flows. Then in part 3, in part C, we have to find the terminal cash flow at T3, which is the termination value when we sell the equipment at the end of the project. As we know, the termination value is equal to the selling price or the salvage value of the equipment at the end of the project plus the change in net working capital minus between brackets the selling price of the equipment minus the book value multiplied by the tax percent. So the selling so the selling price of the equipment, if we want to apply this formula, so the selling price of the equipment is equal to $20,000 plus net working capital, which we used in the initial investment, which is $14,000, which is given, minus the selling price of the equipment minus the book value. The book value is $15,000. And in order to calculate the book value, so the book value equal to fixed capital investment minus the accumulated depreciation over the 3 years. So the depreciation for year 1 plus depreciation for year 2 plus the depreciation for year 3. So it's equal to $15,000. So that's the book value. So that's how we calculated the book value. Then we multiply the selling price minus the book value times the tax rate. So it's equal to 32,000. So then we should add this termination value to the cash flow that we have in the third year, which is $23,700. So we add it to the cash flow at the to the final cash flow of the project. So the cash flow 3 after adding the termination value will be equal to $55,700. And then we have to calculate the net present value in part D. The net present value, okay, we want to calculate the net present value. So the net present value, according to the formula, it's sum of the cash flows discounted at 1 plus weighted average cost of capital to the power T. So the initial investment, it was 74,000. So we put minus because it is an initial investment, then plus the cash flows that we have in year 1, plus the cash flow that we have in year 2, plus the final cash flow at year 3 after adding the termination value. And each cash flow should be discounted at 1 plus weighted average cost of capital to the power its T, or to the power the year that it corresponds to. So we have the net present value equal to 10,765.5. Also, the same problem we can solve it according to the table method. So we have the same ending cash flows, and then we add the termination value to the final project in order to have the ending cash flow after adding the termination value.